Then I may break down. This car doesn't make any sense. 5 minutes. It's been 5 minutes since it showed me the check engine light. What do you mean that it's overheating? Unajua aje? Kuni you're with me in the car. Although the Range Rover would probably break down before this, as much as this one came with warning lights on, I need to emphasize that who you see gari tu ya kawaida ni statement. From its powerful turbocharged engine to its agile handling and luxurious interior, the X4 is a testament to BMW's commitment to driving excellence. Ngojea tuingie ndani zaidi na tuone features, performance na experience ya kuendesha hii machine kali. So yeah, again, this is the BMW X4 F26 X-Drive 28i M Sport trim. Ha! I remembered this time. So again, you get classic BMW lights that look always aggressive, although they're by xenon, which means over time they'll move from a perfect white, pure white, to a weird blue. Don't know why though. Grill, again, looks kind of, well, it's not bad. It's not too much, but I personally don't like it because it just looks like someone pulling up their nose like this. Again, not going to show you because that looks absolutely disgusting. But the front of the car overall, fabulous, especially these creases on the front to make it look that more sportier. Now, moving along to the side of the car, you have a couple of things I want to note. Number one, as standard on the M Sport, you get 19-inch rims, which, of course, that extra inch makes a difference. And they do come with an M badge over here just to, remind everyone that you're driving an M Sport car. Now, this car doesn't have the blind assist, but the highest trim did have it on the side mirrors. Now, moving along to the side of the car, this car is supposedly an SUV, but I do not believe that. Number one, its ground clearance is a bit funky. It's at 203 millimeters, and there are much higher SUVs, including the X5. And this is its start, can't remember it offhand. And this is the X7 start, also can't remember it offhand. But still looks really cool for what's considered to be a coupe. Although it's not a 2-door, it's a 4-door, so it doesn't make too much sense. It has this sloping roofline, which means that you don't get as much space here in the boot. But it's fine. You're looking for something sportier after all, aren't you? And speaking of the boot, we're going to move on to the back of the car, which again has aggressive BMW rear tail lights and has actual exhausts. It's kind of depressing we live in a world where I have to say actual exhausts because Mercedes, we see you. We know you and your fake exhausts. And the Range Rover. And then you have this weird thing that was trying to be like a spoiler, kind of. I don't really like it. I like the front, I don't like the back. Speaking of the front, moving along to the engine. So this car, being the X-Drive 28i, means that it comes with a 2.8 turbocharged twin turbo, so you get 2 turbos and 4 cylinders. But it still makes a beautiful noise, and it still makes a whopping 240 horsepower and 353 newton meters of torque. But it does weigh quite a lot at 1,873 kilos. But still, all-wheel drive, X-Drive, so you get power on all 4 wheels. Now, normally this is where I would say Adrian, but Adrian is in school. So, Rafael, again, interior. Like I said, Adrian isn't here, so I'm also doing the interior. Now, this car, this one in specific that I mean, has a black interior, which means you cook inside of it, like right now I am. That's why my head is looking so veiny, but oh well, what are you gonna do about it? Soft materials everywhere, and they all feel expensive. Just feels nice. I'm not saying I want to hug the car. I want to hug the car because it's a fast car. That's not the point. Anyway, moving along. Seats have beautiful thigh extensions and hidden snack compartments in the center. You'll understand what I mean if you buy such a car. Breathable material on the seats, and they're so comfortable. They have electronically adjustable controls, and they come with lumbar support, so on those long distances you don't get tired. And speaking of the practicality of this car, you can put relatively giant bottles in the doorwell. It's not the same in that W212, and I'm about to continue shaming that car. You have a 12-volt socket that's being held by Hercules there, so you can charge your phone if you want, but you probably won't, because of if you open the center console over here, you have a USB-A port, which is a bit old school, but can't complain. Speaking of it, all these buttons make the car look so dated. It does not look like it's from 2016, it looks like it's from 2005, but it's fine. It does not come with Android Auto, unfortunately, unlike that Tiguan. Again, you want to watch that, click this corner or that corner. I don't know what corner because I'm not used to it yet. But you get BMW's connected drive, but we don't get navigation because we live in Africa and they haven't mapped our roads yet. Germans, but it's fine. You can control it with this swivel, and the buttons do make sense. You have shortcuts to certain things you want to reach. So if you want to reach your radio, your media, maps, options, pretty much everything is here. You control it with this gear selector. Now this gear selector, I will complain about it during the drive, not now. You can control your driving modes here between Eco, Sport and Comfort, and Sport Plus. Again, wait for the drive. Moving along here, you have a beautiful heads-up display. Again, like that Range Rover, and it shows you your music, navigation, if it had navigation, and a semi-digital gauge cluster over here, where the speed is actually fixed. They just make it look like it's digital, but it's not, because they're just trying to be cheap, because I guess it's expensive. And then you have a sunroof above you, so that you can stick your head out and yell that you're made of money because you own a BMW. And this, I've never seen this on a car. I keep trying this on a car. I'm gonna stop playing with it now. Moving to the back of this car, if you are claustrophobic, don't sit in here. You feel kind of squeezed in. Okay, there is a lot of shoulder space, but aside from that, the very black interior does not help. And then, unlike that Tiguan, you don't have a lot of thigh support, so your legs are kind of floating, and you can't really stretch them far into the chair in front of you. Knee room, I guess, is all right. You have some cheap thingamabobs over here. You can put, I think, thingamabobs like books if you're a nerd. You have giant places to put bottles. I don't know why my English is leaving me slowly, but it's fine. But speaking of putting bottles, the one in the center isn't so helpful, because you just kind of sit there awkwardly trying to see. Otherwise you take up the other person's space. Yeah, this is quite comfortable. Otherwise it's not that comfortable. You can't have through loading with this. So if I'm not wrong, usually in other cars such as that Tiguan, if you have longer items, you can fold this singular seat and pass them through. With this, since you chose to be more sportier, you have lost practicality. Hopefully you have not lost your wife. But you can put a kibambe down here if you still own one, but I don't see why you'd own one if you're in such a car. But yeah, everyone has their own thing. Speaking of practicality, let's move on to the boot. So now, this car, even though I was mocking it for practicality, when you do fold down the other seats, it has 1,000 liters worth of space. So you could have a sleepover with someone back here, I guess, if you want. But as soon as you fold it up, that dwindles all the way back up to 500 liters. Also, there is no exact place to put this once you're done. You know, there are some cars that have like an under storage down here where you can nicely place this, but this kind of just awkwardly sits. I don't know what you're supposed to do with this. It's a load cover so no one sees your stuff, but you know. Anyway, to the drive. Okay, for the drive, so it's a push to start, and by default starts off in comfort. But those bells, also it has a brake problem, so I can't move that fast. It's just a world that doesn't want me to move fast. Something I find irritating, by the way, because I'm doing it now. You see this gear? Right? If I want to use the gear, I have to press this unlock if I'm putting it to reverse. But if I want to put it to drive, I just have to do that. Make that make sense? That's not making sense to me. No, but it's fine. It's fine. It's all fine. It's all fine. When editor's not around, I just go insane alone. Anyway, aside from that, it has an auto hold, stop and start feature, so you don't waste amount of fuel. It actually tries to be economic. You get like many economic starts, and It's quite weird. In terms of power, again, 240 horsepower, 353 newton meters of torque, and it's all-wheel drive, so it picks. And having a heads-up display just looks more like a flex, because you're like, ooh, I'm moving above 200 kilometers an hour, even though in Kenya you should not be allowed to go that fast. I'm a bit lost though, because I'm in Karen, and I think my maps is telling me to go right. Something weird though I find about the car, the bonnet is rather long, and then all of a sudden stops. Usually you're given you have some sort of spatial awareness when you're driving a car, and you understand its dimensions as soon as you sit inside of it. This one took me some time to adjust, because outside it looks like a bigger car than it actually is. You hop inside, you're like, this is as low as an E-Class. It's what it feels like. And then the suspension, even though it's on comfort, is rather firm. I know, it's so that it's, it's a sporty car. That's kind of the goal of it, so I'm not complaining about that. And it comes with anti-roll bars, so if I chucked it into a corner, it would do perfectly fine. Hypothetically, I'm not gonna chuck it into a corner because I don't really have any corners to chuck it into. See, bump. It's not as soft as the W212, and again, if you want to watch that right here, I think. But it's fast enough, it's sufficient. And given the fact that this has a version of a M40i, which was a 6-cylinder inline version with, again, 2 turbos, that must be terrifying to be inside of, especially when you don't have that much common sense and the driver just wants to floor it 24/7. You will ask God to forgive you your sins before that car moves. Another thing I find a bit dumb, I never fully understood what people meant when they were talking about BMW's signal light indicator. It doesn't lock into position, rather it's electronic, so it's like, okay, I'll detect how far you turn. Sometimes I kind of like it locking into position, because I can be like, oh, I want to cancel a turn. Now, whenever I try to cancel a turn, sometimes I will accidentally turn the opposite direction and confuse every driver known to man. Merging into traffic does relatively does well, not relatively well, does very well in merging into traffic. Yeah, and paddle shifters feel also really cool, because they are not cheap like that E-Class. Not that it has an issue, just those feel like they were meant for a kid's toy, unfortunately. But can't really complain. Aside from that, you get a couple of other drive modes over here. So right now I am driving in Eco. I could switch it to Sports Plus, which will, one, make the throttle response sharper and stiffen up the suspension even further. So when I hit one of these ridiculously large potholes, I break my spine. Why am I confused over which way I am going? You break your spine, and the car just kind of wants to go all the time. And it also switches off traction control when you put it into Sports Plus. So, yeah, please, let's be careful. Let's not do that while driving on a road. Oh, just gonna put it to normal sports and just feel its response. So I am at 60. See if I can catch up to the car in front of me. 3, 2, 1. 100. That was like 3 seconds, right? It's about 3 seconds. Oh, it's still holding the rev. Jesus freaking Christ. Again, very cool, very fast car. But I don't know. The rear view mirror is non-existent, which is very useless when it comes to actually driving. You can't see who's behind you, because it just looks like, I don't know, you cut half your eyelid like this and let the top off. I don't know how to explain it. I mean, I've put a shot of it so you guys can clearly see what I mean. But yeah, it's a bit dumb in terms of that. Fuel economy wise, I'm doing 8.1 kilometers per liter, which is good, but not as good as that Tiguan. Tiguan, again, I'm probably just praising it a lot because I got to drive it for about 2 days, which was more than that range. So it impressed me more. I'm not gonna lie there. That one was doing an average of about 14 kilometers a liter. So if you're big on saving fuel, I'm gonna put the car back into comfort before I crash into someone. If you're big on saving on fuel, that's the car for you. Anyway, I think now we can think I can conclude now. Without it. Hey, caramba, these Prado drivers. Okay, yeah, I'm going to end before I crash into. I'm going to go crash into him. Hey guys, so I technically finished reviewing this car, but I wanted another opportunity to talk about a few more things. One, I underestimated a lot of things about this car. One, you actually feel like you're in a spaceship. The longer I've sat in it, the more I feel like, yeah, this is supposed to be a sports car, and it makes sense. Two, the way I described the sloping bonnet initially and the whole spatial driver awareness, it makes sense because the creases in the bonnet slowly lead towards the front hood, and you kind of now understand the distance between you and other objects. I just wasn't used to it at that point. It didn't take me too long. Another thing I wanted to mention, steering wheel, actually really good. They have these two sections on the top right hand side, 10 o'clock and about 2 o'clock, that kind of let your hands sit properly, so if you're doing some sporty driving, they don't slide a lot, because when you're doing sporty driving, you're supposed to keep your hands perfectly still because you want to know where the tires are always facing at a go. Another thing I also wanted to mention, again, this thing has the adaptive cruise control, and you first click set to engage it, followed by picking the distance you want to stay and the speed using a certain dial over here that's a plus and a minus, which is quite cool, really cool. Aside from that, car is very, very, very solid. Very solid. I can't complain. Speaker system is beautiful, in fact, in this vehicle. And the different gauge cluster, or rather, the gauge cluster by default, the numbers are actually just there, that again, hidden. But even though they're hidden, below it, you have a screen that now shows you stuff like, maybe if you're in eco, it will show you your charge and your power, which I'm confused about because I don't believe this is a hybrid. Tried my very best to see if it's a hybrid or not. And two, when you put it in sports mode, it looks more aggressively cool, and it switches off traction control, like I said prior to that. But aside from that, paddle shifters, I did not talk about that. Okay, I got the opportunity to drive with the paddle shifters. The car will manually let you control. Now the thing is, with other cars that aren't fully sports cars, like like the Tiguan or the W212, they tend to shift for you. This one will not shift for you. It'll be like, you wanna go, you wanna drop down, you wanna drop down again, you wanna drop down again. It's just a lovely car. It's just a lovely car. So, the 2016 BMW X4 xDrive 28i is a stylish and capable compact SUV that delivers a blend of performance, luxury, and practicality. While it may not be the ideal choice for serious off-roading compared to something like a Land Cruiser, its all-wheel drive system and decent ground clearance make it suitable for light off-road excursions and handling challenging weather conditions. Its turbocharged engine provides ample power for daily driving and highway cruising, while the M Sport package adds a sportier edge with its enhanced styling and performance features. And although it does lack some modern technologies like gesture control or hybrid powertrains, the X4 remains a compelling option for those seeking a premium driving experience with a touch of sportiness. So if you're looking for a versatile and stylish SUV that can handle Nairobi's diverse driving conditions, the 2016 BMW X4 xDrive 28i F26 is certainly worth considering. Asante sana for joining us on this Nairobi Car Journey. And a special thanks to the mysterious person who helped me with video recording. Clearly I can't do it alone because I'm too clumsy. But thanks to this person who does not want to be named. Let's call them Potato. Yes. Thank you, Potato, for your assistance. And thank you guys. Again, remember to hit that like button and subscribe. For more content is on its way. Till next time.